Good morning, friends, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, I'm Lissa, the Soap Chef. Today's video is a really special one because it's December 1st, and I'm actually in the operating room right now having shoulder surgery as you are watching this. I pre-recorded this and several other videos following this one because I still wanted to keep our winter wellness collection moving forward as I am out recovering from surgery. I'm going to be in a sling for 6 weeks, just like last year. Today, though, we're going to be making another high-temp countertop fluid hot process soap, a beautiful winter frost goat milk soap. This bar is going to have that creamy, cozy, snowy, minty kind of a vibe that we've been building toward over the last few weeks with the other formulas, and I can't wait for you to see how it comes together. So let's get into it over at Creation Station. Let's just get going, you guys. We are over here and ready to roll. All of the oils and butters are already in here to start to melt down because I need to bring this up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So first thing we have in here is our coconut oil. That's going to be our main cleansing and bubbling oil. It's going to give us big fluffy lather and helps the bar feel nice and cleansing, especially like in a saltier winter environment where your skin can feel really, really dry. The next thing we have is shea butter. That's going to bring in that rich, conditioning, creamy feel. It doesn't add any, like a ton of lather or anything like that, but it really does help support the skin and gives the bar that buttery, luxurious feel. Next, we have our palm oil, which is one of our main structure builders here. It's going to boost the hardness and longevity so that the bar doesn't turn to mush in the shower, and it's going to balance the cleansing from the coconut. Our liquid oils in here are going to be castor oil. That's going to be our lather booster. Even at a low percentage, it's going to help to stabilize the bubbles and give a more creamy, lasting foam instead of big bubbles that disappear. Olive oil is going to be our classic conditioning oil. It's going to bring a gentle, nourishing feel to the bar, and it helps counteract some of the stronger cleansing oil so that the soap doesn't feel stripping. And lastly, we have rice bran oil. It's going to be a beautiful supporting oil. It's mild. It adds a silky conditioning feel and brings in some natural antioxidants that are really nice in a winter bar. I have portioned off 5% of that rice bran oil. I'm going to be adding this at the end of the cook. This is going to be my superfat oil. So I will bring you guys back when we are ready to roll with our next stages. So while we are waiting for all of our oils and butters to melt down, I can go ahead and start preparing some of the other ingredients that we're going to be incorporating. Since this is our winter frost goat milk soap, I've gone ahead and taken my goat milk powder and I've reconstituted that into a liquid. My rule of thumb is use equal portions of your goat milk powder to some of the water portion that you're going to use for your lye water. So I took 121 grams of water out of my lye water portion, and I took 121 grams of goat milk powder, and so I've reconstituted that into a liquid form. To this, I'm going to be adding 1% of titanium dioxide because we're going to be using a vanilla fragrance oil at the end. Even though it is non-discoloring fragrance oil, it still does discolor to a certain degree. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of that titanium dioxide to our goat milk powder slurry and just mix that in real good and set this aside. It's going to continue breaking down and getting really nice and diluted here so that we're not going to have any more chunks. And I am going to warm this up ever so slightly. Once it gets time to add this to the soap bath, I'm going to warm it up just a little teeny bit. So doing it this way, pre-wetting the goat milk and the titanium dioxide to make this slurry is going to help prevent scorching of this milk later, and it keeps everything smooth and lump free. So this goat milk brings a really nice creaminess, brings sugars, and a really gentle feel to the bar. It helps boost lather also and gives the soap that rich conditioning vibe that people really love in the winter time. Of course, that titanium dioxide is going to help to brighten the soap and keep the goat milk portion looking lighter instead of going, too dark from that vanillin in the vanilla. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this aside. And while we're continuing to wait on our oils here, we can go ahead and start working on the water portion minus the lye. I'm not going to add that quite yet, but I am going to be adding some granulated sugar. I'm going to dissolve this into the water before I add that lye. So sugar is here to boost the lather. It's going to give you more creamy bubbles, especially in a high coconut formula, which this isn't very high. Let me take a look and see how much I have with my coconut. It's really not that much. It's 25%, so it's really not that much. But if you were to work with a higher coconut amount, it's going to help with that. So it does caramelize a bit in hot process, but it's worth it for the lather. So we're just going to go ahead and get that granulated sugar into the mix. And I'll wait until that is fully dissolved before I start adding my next ingredient to the water portion, which is going to be tetrasodium EDTA. That is our chelator. Its job is to grab onto metal ions from hard water or raw materials. It's going to help to reduce soap scum. It can improve your lather in the shower, and it also supports the overall stability of the bar. Because as we all know, soap is in a high pH environment. It's going to help with all of that. I've been using tetrasodium EDTA in my soaps ever since I started soaping back in 2002. So a very long time, several decades now. All right, it doesn't take long for that sugar to get dissolved. So again, we're going to go ahead and add that tetrasodium EDTA to our water. And then we're just going to set this aside. We're not going to add that lye quite yet. Wait till those oils are down, melted all the way. Wait till the temperature has come up to 200 degrees. I am going to get a water bath going so that I can put my container in there. I like to do that to keep that container warm for my color swirl that we're going to do later. All right, so the sugar and the tetrasodium is all dissolved. I'm just going to go ahead and put this off to the side. Bring it back when we're ready to go. Okay, our oils have come up to just a little bit above the temp that I need them to be, which is fine because they're going to start coming down. I've taken it out of the heated base. We just now have the crock on here, no heated base. We're not going to be using any external heat during this. So we're going to go ahead and add to these warmed oils some BHT. And I always add BHT directly to my warmed oils in every batch of soap that I've ever made, going way back since 2002, just like the tetrasodium EDTA. This is an antioxidant. It is not a preservative. It's going to help slow down oxidation and rancidity in the fats, which is important with all these really beautiful oils and butters, especially in a high heat process like this. So we're just going to head and add the BHT directly to the warmed oils and give that a little bit of a stir. And we're going to have to move kind of quickly because, like I said, these oils come down in temperature quite a bit once you take it off of that crock. So we're going to cover that back up, try to keep that heat in there, and we're going to start dissolving that lye in our water. Put your goggles on, make sure you have arm protectant on, and let's just get going a little bit at a time to our water. This temperature is going to come up quite a bit. Relatively quickly, too. I'm sure all of you know this already, but you always add the lye to the water and never the other way around. Temperature is going to climb to about 189 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. And for this high temp fluid hot process method, I really want my lye solution very hot to match my oils. So that's going to drive the cook. Just a little bit at a time. Don't dump the whole thing in all at once. I've got my little container off to the side in a water bath for the color swirl that we're going to be doing later. Just keeps the container warm and helps everything remain fluid later. As I'm adding all of my lye, I'm feeling down on the bottom when you've been doing this long enough, you can feel the grains of the lye on the bottom of your water container. And so that's how I know we're getting close to everything being dissolved. We're at 200 degrees with our lye. We're going to just keep on mixing and dissolving and wait until this comes down to about 190. And then we will be good to go to add this to our oils. All right, let's go ahead and start adding our lye solution to our oils. Bring this into view so you guys can see a little bit better, and we're going to start blending. We're just going to keep on blending with our stick blender until we get to like a medium thick trace, which is going to happen relatively quickly because of the high temps that we're using. You want to make sure you get to a full emulsion. No false trace. We are just about at like a medium to thick pudding consistency right now with our trace. So now we're going to go ahead and add that goat milk slurry that we set aside earlier. Just give it a good stir. Putting it in at this stage helps protect the milk from the harshest part of the lye reaction while still letting it fully incorporate and work its magic in the bar. All right, waste not, want not. Get some of that off of there. All right, into the pool we go with our goat milk slurry that we also mixed our titanium dioxide in. That's why you're having it be so white like it is. All right, let's keep going with our stick blender. So I don't know if you guys can see it. I definitely can, but the oils and the water are starting to split apart and break solution. We're approaching the applesauce stage. Can you guys see how this looks curdled? So we're getting to applesauce now, in case you guys did not know what that phase looks like. And you will feel the batter get very, very loose from where you were to this stage. Keep going because we're just about entering mashed potato phase. And then we're going to switch over to the whisk. You see how the texture has completely changed? But keep going though, we're not through with applesauce yet. Don't be fooled. We're starting to get ever so slight of a volcano. Ever so slight. We're not done yet though. Keep mixing with your blender. All right, now is at the point where you're going to stop and you're going to grab that whisk. We have reached the mashed potato stage. Volcanoing should be happening right now. Don't turn your back at this stage. Keep very, very diligent. You see how that batter is rising? It's rising and rising and rising. Do not walk away. I still have my goggles on too, by the way. I let mine rise pretty much as high up as it wants to go, really, and then I mash it back down. All right, let's mash that back down. You see how this is like mashed potatoes now? It's all fluffy and puffy. All right, get that back down into your vessel. Remember, there's no additional heat. You're only using the heat from the saponification process. Heated oils and lye from the beginning. So this is that high temp countertop fluid hot process. Scrape down your sides so we're ensuring that everything is getting cooked. You can put the lid back on the top and let it continue cooking for a bit. While we're waiting for this to turn back into the gel phase, let me go ahead and let you know which colorants I'm going to be using today. I've got blueberry pop mica, I've got some titanium dioxide, and I've got some snow pearl mica. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of my warmed sorbitol to this, as well as a couple of drops of glycerin. That's to help that titanium dioxide disperse just a little bit better. Right after that super fat oil, we're going to be adding some warmed sorbitol. And we're adding that because this is another humectant, the lather booster as well. It's going to help keep the bar feeling a little bit more gentle and adds that nice creamy foam, especially helpful in winter soaps. I'm also going to be adding some warmed sodium lactate to the mix. It's going to help with the bar hardness and a cleaner unmolding process. It's also going to support that fluid texture that we're after in a fluid hot process. This one is not even close to being as fluid as that first one that I did a few weeks ago. If you guys remember that, I can link that in the description. That other one was very, very fluid. This is not. I'm not necessarily sure why. Okay, everyone, it's Editing Lissa here. Let's talk about what actually happened here, because this is such a good learning opportunity for anybody making high temperature countertop hot process soap, especially when you introduce goat milk. So now in my last fluid hot process soap, the one with the beer powder and the honey powder, that batter stayed beautifully fluid. But here's the thing, I can't expect the goat milk to behave the same way. Beer powder and honey powder dissolve extremely easily and stay very loose in solution, but goat milk powder does not behave that way. They are two totally different systems. Goat milk powder naturally contains fats, proteins, sugars, and minerals, all of which thicken in a high pH environment. So that means at the moment that the goat milk hits that hot lye reactive soap batter, it wants to tighten the structure. So right off the bat, we're already working with something that's much thicker than the beer and honey combo. Another important point is that real goat milk is about 87% water and only 13% solids. But in this batch, dumb me, I mistakenly created something closer to a 50-50 solution, 50% water and 50% goat milk powder. That is way too concentrated, and it behaves like a heavy paste slurry instead of an actual reconstituted milk. Going forward, goat milk slurry should always be mixed at about a 1-to-4 ratio, 1 part powder to 4 parts water, so it actually imitates real liquid goat milk. And because milk slurries are full of solids, they eat water like crazy, meaning if the slurry doesn't have enough water in it, it's going to steal moisture from the soap batter the moment that it's added, instantly thickening the mixture. Now here's where I made another mistake. Remember when I said that I was going to warm the goat milk slurry slightly? Yeah, so I didn't do that. I completely forgot, and that affects, you know, the fluidity of the soap batter. I added that thick, very cold slurry directly into a very hot soap batter, and so the temperature of that shocks and tightens the batter immediately. It interrupts the whole phase, it reduces fluidity, and makes swirling nearly impossible, as you guys saw. But here's the fix, and this is the golden rule going forward. Instead of adding the goat milk slurry at trace, I should have added it after the cook, when the batter was already fully gelled and fluid. And I should have warmed the slurry to around 100 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Adding the warmed goat milk slurry at the end keeps the batter loose, glossy, and pourable, and it gives you much better swirling capability. So that's the lesson here. Goat milk is amazing, but it behaves completely differently than beer and honey or any other powdered additives. So once you work with the proper ratios, give it enough water, and add it at the right time, the high temperature fluid hot process soap will stay beautifully fluid every single time. This hot process is not my specialty, especially fluid hot process is not my specialty. This is literally the second batch that I've ever done of fluid hot process. It's not turning out like my first one did. That's the way it goes, right? All right, we're going to be adding some room temperature yogurt. This is going to bring in some extra sugars and lactic acid. Also going to help to loosen the batter just a little bit more. Going to give a silky feel to that finished bar. I'm going to portion some of this off now into that warmed container that's been sitting over there all this time. Here's our warmed container. We're going to get some of this in here and color it. About 16 ounces worth. All right, this is our slurry that we made with our colorant. Let's go ahead and get that in here and get this colored. I don't know, as far as a swirl is concerned, how successful I'm going to be, because this is definitely not fluid. So I'm going to have to rewatch all of my footage, kind of troubleshoot along the way and find out where it is that I may have made some boo-boos. This is what happens with soap, though. Oh, a trial and error. You just roll with it, you know. It's still going to be good soap. I'm going to add my fragrance to that main batch in just one moment. Just want to scrape up the bottom, make sure all this soap is being colored. I'm going to stick this back in the water bath. Take this off. Let's go ahead and add that fragrance now. If I didn't tell you guys before, the fragrance blend that I am using is a spearmint, a non-discoloring vanilla, and a little bit of peppermint. Smells really nice. This did loosen up the batter some, but by no means, in my personal opinion, is this fluid. We're just going to glop this into the mold best we can. Try to get a swirl. Don't know if we'll be successful with that. Let's go ahead and get about a third of this into our mold here. Cover that back up, because whatever moisture we were able to achieve, we definitely don't want to lose that. Let's go ahead and try to do a drop swirl, see what happens. Quite the mess, I must say. All right, well, it is what it is. We're just going to do this. We're going to give it a smack down on the floor. And then we just cross our fingers and hope for the best. I mean, it's not exactly like really, really thick, hot process. It's not like that. But it's definitely not fluid either. Give me a minute. Let me go smack this down. I am not even going to worry about all these edges. That's a disaster. I can't fix that. Let's give it a spritz, though. Okay, for better or worse, here it is. There it is. Okay. Well, I'm going to bring you guys back when I am ready to unmold, and we'll see what happens. Who's ready for the cut? It's been 4 hours. I took it out at 3 hours. Let it sit out on my lab bench here for another hour. I don't know. I'm optimistically hopeful. What a journey this one was. Holy mackerel. Actually, I can put it this way. I don't know why I'm putting it on its side. All right. Ay, ay, ay. Man alive. Line this up. We'll cut and see what we did on the inside. And here we go. Ready? Hold your breath. Moment of truth. Here we go. I'm seeing it for the first time, just like you guys. Boom. Hey, that's not terrible. That is not terrible. Could have been way worse than that. That one looks okay. I would not call these swirls. I would just call it a little bit of color inside of here. I would not call that swirls. All right, let's see. Well, there's some holes here, some pockets. Not my best work. Whatever, man. It's just a journey. All right. I'm not hating it. Not loving it either, but I'm not hating it. Listen, at this very moment, while you guys are watching this, I'm laying on a hospital bed in the recovery room, okay? Actually, this is going to be coming out in the morning, so no, I'm in the middle of surgery right now. They're slicing me open. It's not terrible, you guys. Could be way, way worse, right? Can always be worse. Right now, I am laying on an operating table. So that's what's happening right at this very moment while you guys are watching whether or not this is a disaster. It's not. Listen, I've seen way worse than this, okay? I've made way worse than this. Here's the good news. It smells really, really good. That spearmint essential oil combined with the vanilla fragrance oil and then just that little splash of peppermint, that's a hit. That's a very nice wintry vibe, man. I'm digging that. Okay. It's really not that bad. I'm way too critical. It just wasn't fluid like my first attempt. That's all. There we go. We got some holes there, some pockets. And last one. Oh, that's the best one. Look at there. Looks very nice though, you know, like with that wispy blue in there for that frosted goat milk look. Okay, that's going to do it, you guys. Like I said, I've got a few more videos coming out. I do one a week. So for the next 6 weeks while I am recovering with my right shoulder in a sling, you guys will still get your content, okay? I put the recipe up on the screen for you guys. So you have that. If you would like the full written PDF, actually I keep saying PDF. I don't like PDFs. I like to do it in Word because I can get more creative in Word. If you would like the full written document with all the percentages, everything that I did, the instructions, the whole 9 yards, head on over to Patreon. You can pick it up there. This will be in the Saponification Station tier level member, and my lovely members will be receiving a bar of this in 4 weeks. All right, that's what you get as part of that tier level. You get one of the bars of soap sent to you every month. That is going to do it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me here at Creation Station. See you in the next formulation.